Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be doing my September and October reading wrap up. I read fall books in these 2 months, so I decided to do them together. So let's get started with September wrap up. So the first book I read in September was A Perfect Day to Be Alone. It is a Japanese literature. So Shizu is 20 years old and her mother moves to a different city, but she doesn't want to leave her city, so she lives in Tokyo. So her mother asks one of her relatives to let Shizu stay with her. So we see Shizu living with the old relative, and we see how their dynamic works, how they live together, and what this 20-year-old, like the younger generation, thinks and how the older generation thinks. We see them from going from awkward to actually being friendly, so we see everything. I think it was a very comforting book. If you like Days at Murasaki Bookshop, then you will like this book. And I think this was way more cozy and comforting than that book because I have read that book, but I think I like this one better. So yes, I really like this book and you should read this too. Then I listened to an audiobook called Vampires Never Say Die. And it was about this woman who gets turned into something different, like her body changes overnight. She can yield a fire sword and now she is figuring out कि उसको क्या हुआ है exactly, and she gets turned into a vampire slayer. The entire theory is that whenever a vampire gets created, a vampire slayer gets created automatically, so that the universe tries to balance things. And the vampire slayer is always somebody who is not having a good equation with the vampire. So they were like frenemies. So she gets turned into a vampire slayer because her co-worker at a bar was not her friend basically. And then the vampire community usually tries to eliminate the vampire slayer, so because they are threat to them. So the vampire, because of whom I think his name is Nick, so Nick tries to help this girl so that she doesn't get killed basically. So we see them getting together. It's more of a like enemies to lovers situation. And also we see her going on a self discovery journey, like believing in herself and speak for herself and stuff like that. It was a really good book. It was an average vampire rom-com, so yes, it was enjoyable. Then I read A Magical Middle Grade, and it's Forest Bonds. As we all know, trees are living beings, so in this world the trees come out after sunset, like from their physical form. They come out, their souls come out, and they have their own dance. They can move around, they can have like families, because seeds come from trees, so they have their families, they have everything which we see, like how humans are, like human connections are. That's how the trees also have some connections, and that's the entire magic system. What happens is these trees, these particular trees are sandalwood trees. So humans, as usual, some humans try to cut down the sandalwood trees and they want to take away those trees. So the main character of this tree, they are trying to save their grove. There's also a human girl who loves trees and who loves jungle, and she's trying to like, she has a special connection with the jungle, and we see what that special connection is, because there is a special connection. We see all the different stories of humans as well as these trees, and it's a very magical story, and it's perfect for children because they can learn that trees do have some feelings, even though not like in this particular way, but this is told in a magical way. But of course trees do have feelings, whatever the situation is, like in the real world, that people try to cut the trees. They don't think that they should, we should preserve them, we should let them grow, and it's told in a perfect magical way to the children. So I think every child or even adults should read this book. It's really good. Then I read another Indian book, which is Fabulous Mums of Champion Valley, and it is such a fun book. Like, you have to get this and read this. Like, read it on Kindle, read anywhere you want. Like, but you should read this book. So it's about Ambika, and she gets a job of a primary teacher. She loves to travel, but she needs a source of income, so she takes the job. And we see her equation with the mums as well as mums' equation. It's a multi POV story. So we see all these mums through their own perspective and others' perspectives. So what they actually think, what they are going through, and what other people think of them. So it's a really good book of how you should not judge other people or how we quickly judge other people and all those things. The children are super cute, like all of them are so different and unique. I just love them. There's a small Diwali celebration in this book. So I really like to read about festivals of India in books. So it was really good. And there's a plot twist at the end, like everything comes together or crashes down. So it's fun to read. It was a really, really good book. I mean, I highly recommend this if you're looking for some Indian chick lit contemporary books. And then I listened to another audiobook and it's called Hot Ex Boyfriend. It's about this girl whose entire family is cursed and they don't have magic. They think they are witches, but they don't have magic because they were cursed. So, this is the tale they have been hearing. And then one day, what happens is their neighbor dies, so he comes to the town to wind up all the business, but also to keep an eye on the girl because she is going to turn 30 in a week and she is actually a blue witch and she can actually break the curse which is put on their family. So he's trying to keep an eye and stop to see if they are trying to do any magic or trying to break the curse. And of course, she accidentally breaks the curse, and now his family wants him to curse her back so that they can like get done with them and go back. But then he realizes that that family is not that bad, and whatever he has heard about them is not right. So he is trying to help them, and we see what is happening, why they were cursed, how they figure out all the mystery and the actual mystery of how the curse got broken. So it was a really fun little witchy rom-com and I really liked it. After that, I read this book. It's called Letters to Daughters of Tomorrow and it's a non-fiction book. Today's generation who is now working, like women are working, but it should be their choice. Whatever the choice, if they want to stay at home, it should be their choice. What if they want to go and work, it should be their choice. How women in the corporate world are facing issues and how they get treated differently, or all those tiny little things which, like, main glass ceiling got broken, but then there are certain things which women are still trying to figure out and women are still trying to change, and all those things. There are a lot of data, there's a lot of research, and the author has talked to many multiple women and we see their experiences as well. So it's a really insightful book, and I think this book should be read not only by women but also by men. There is a chapter which is for Sons of Tomorrow. It's a really good book, I think, and everybody should read this. So, those were all the books I read in the month of September. Let's talk about the books I read in this month. So, starting with the first book which I finished in this month was, wait, let me get it. So, the book which I read was The Lantern of Lost Memories, and oh my god, I don't even want to tell y'all anything about this book. Just go in blindly, literally go in blindly, and it will surprise you. Because okay, I'll tell you just a teeny tiny bit because it's a wrap up, right? I have to like talk about the book. So there are three short stories, and that's it. No, there's I mean, it's written on the back, so it's not like I'm giving you all any spoiler. But there's a photo studio at the end of the time or end of your timeline. So whenever a human being is getting from one world to another, so there's this studio on the threshold. So they go there and they see all the memories, like pick one picture from every day of their lives, and they see those pictures and they have to choose one picture for every year. So if a person lived like 40 years, so they have to choose 40 pictures, and those pictures get put up on this lantern, and then the lantern spins and they see all their memories, and then they move to the next one. That's what happens. We see three different people doing this process and going through this process, and we see their lives. They are very different from one another. So most of the categories are covered, not all, but yes, you will have a fun time. You will cry, you will love them, you will see their stories, and they are very deep. So yes, I highly recommend this book. It was such a cozy and meaningful book. Then I read an ebook on my Kindle and it's called Serial Killer Support Group, and everything comes in that title. So there are serial killers support group in the city, and this girl, our main character's sister, gets killed, and the police thinks that this was a serial killer's work. So she tries to get into that serial killer support group so that she can go in there, pretend like she is a serial killer, and figure out who was her sister's killer. and bring justice. So that's what is happening, and we see her inner thoughts, how she thinks that she failed to protect her sister. We see her and her sister's dynamics through her past memories, and also we see how she gets into the support group. That process is very interesting. Like, you have to see कि क्या होता है, and we see this serial killer, and it's very creepy and eerie because you know that they are all monsters. Like, come on, because we see them talking to each other. There's a humor, but I didn't find it that humorous because it was supposed to be like a therapy session and how the group sessions work, and they literally say hi, my name is this, and then everybody says hi. There are some cookies and tea, and for the serial killers it's like their normal thing. They are trying to be normal, but it's not normal. So I didn't find it funny. It was a unique book. The last 30% is very fast and thrilling. Like, it was a very good palate cleanser. I wouldn't say I loved it, but it was a good book. Then I listened to another audiobook, and I love to listen to audiobooks. We all know this at this point. So I listened to Deja Brew, and it was another cute fall witchy rom-com. Was it witchy? Yes, because she's a kitchen witch and he's a magician, so he does all those tricks. She makes recipes, and that's how her magic flourishes. But what happens is that she is having a terrible month. It's the end of the month, like 31st October, Halloween day. She drinks a wishing tea and wishes that she gets a second chance. So the month restarts, and she's getting deja vu, as well as the main male character also gets deja vu. That's why the name is Deja Brew. This time she's trying to do things differently. He's trying to help her in certain things. They are both spending time together for certain goal. That's how we see them together. There's a corn maze. There are other things which are fall activities, and it's cozy, it's good, not so amazing, not so bad. A usual average rom-com again, because I like to listen to audiobooks and I listen them in the background while doing things. So it was perfect for that. So yes, that was another fall book. Then I read this book. It's Rewish, and it's such a cute fall rom-com, but not just fall rom-com, but it's about self-journey, self-discovery, believing in herself. And this girl, her name is Belladonna Blackthorn. I know her name, but still I tried to like reconfirm. So she is a witch, and she is a very average witch. She is working in a bookstore, and she has like a very normal average life. But then on her 30th birthday, she gets summoned by her coven to reevaluate her magic, and if she's using her magic properly and putting it to a good use. And of course she fails, so now she has to go through many things to like to save her magic and keep it to herself and not get it taken away. So that's what we see. There's a sweet little main character. Then her best friend is amazing. She is her roommate. There's a cute cat. Then the main male character is just amazing. He is the perfect book boyfriend. You have to like read about him and what he does. Like, he is the most charming, funny, and awkward guy, and I love their dynamic. There are other characters as well, and we see all the things. There is a subplot of mystery, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I had my guesses, but I couldn't figure it out. So that's a good thing that it surprised me. So yes, I gave it 5 stars, and I love this book. So you should read it too. Then I read Pumpkin Spice Cafe book, and it is one of the most talked about books on BookTok, Bookstagram, everywhere basically in this time. It is very fall coded plus Gilmore Girls coded. Like, the author's name is Laurie Gilmore, and it's her pen name. And she has also mentioned that if you liked Gilmore Girls, then you will love this book. Makes sense because there's a cafe, there's a farmer, and we see her trying to run the cafe. There's grumpy ex sunshine trope, and there's a mystery subplot. The town has very found family vibes. There are fall activities, there's small town activities. It's very charming, very cozy, but the mystery was a bit flat for me. But I will continue this series because I do like seasonal books, so I will continue this series, and I'm excited to read Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and Christmas Tree Farm. So yes, then I read a graphic novel, and it's called Garlic and the Vampire, and you have to read it. It's perfect for the fall time if you want to read about a vampire and a garlic, and the garlic is so cute. So there's a farm, and a witch owns that farm, and she has like grown these vegetables, and the first batch she puts magic in them. so now they can talk and they can move, and they are helping her with the garden. She has given them the freedom of leaving her and let them stay somewhere and live their lives, but they want to stay with her. So we see all these vegetables, and they are so fun. They all have their quirky characteristics, and they are very different from one another. And then what happens is they get to learn that a vampire has come to their town. So now Garlic has to go and slay the vampire because he's garlic, right? So he has to go. Actually, she is a garlic, so she has to go and slay the vampire. She is very frightened. She is afraid of doing all these things because she is not fearless, but still she goes, and we see everything, like what happens, her journey of believing in herself, or what is you know what, just go ahead and read it. I can't explain it in words. It's a very short book, and the visuals are pretty. I'm excited to read the next book, which is Garlic and the Witch. Then I read two middle grade books, Spineless and Fathomless. So the first book is Spineless, and in which we see Algie, and he is going to a island, and the island resort, and that resort is meant to cure his asthma or help him in some way. It's a different representation. And then we see him meeting the owners, the resort owners, the girls, like daughters, and their adventure together on that island. There, the island is threatened to be closed down because there are mysterious things happening around it. There are some mythical creatures, and we see their adventures, and it's very fun. I love reading all these adventurous middle grades because they are so fun. Spoiler alert, but nobody dies in those books because they are meant for children. So I like that they are good high fantasy. I mean, the world is well built, or the entire adventure is well built, but nobody dies. So that's why I like middle grade books. So that's what we see in the first book. In the second book, the resort owner's youngest daughter, so she is the main character. We see it from her point of view, and how she is the younger daughter, and her bossy elder sibling treats her. We see her journey of believing in herself that she can do something because nobody else does that, like nobody else believes in her. We see her adventure. There are pirates in that book, there are some hidden treasures, there are some those pirate stories. So it has very summer vibes, so definitely pick it up in summer. There's a disability rep in the second book as well, so it was very insightful. I think both the books were really good. Then I read a vampire rom-com, which is Thanks for Nothing. There's a vampire who lives in a castle, and he has accumulated a lot of things because of his different hobbies, and now he has to conduct a ball because his mother asked him to, and the castle is a mess. So he, rather his servant or his assistant, hires a organizer, like professional organizer, to clean the house, clean the castle. Very grumpy ex sunshine. The castle is very old school Victorian Gothic. So we see all those hobbies. We see his habit of holding things, and her past with her mother who used to hoard things. So we see their dynamic. It's a very long book, honestly, because it's not divided in three parts. Our usual rom-com three parts. It's like they get together, they separate, they talk, they get together. It's a whole thing. There's a magical bookshop, there's a book club, and we see all other things as well. There are so many magical creatures in this book, and then of course there are murders, multiple murders. So some mysteries are solved in this book, some mysteries will be solved in the next book. So I'm excited to see where this story and this series goes. And the last book which I read in this month was Pumpkinhead. And if you know me, you know I love reading this book. I read this every single year during this fall time, and it's about these two characters who are working at the pumpkin patch. This is their last day of working at the patch because it's Halloween day, and also they are going to go to college next year, so they are not going to be in this city, in this their town. So we see their adventure in this beautiful pumpkin patch, and we see them going from one stall to another and having different fall treats. There's a story, love story, and it's the cutest story ever. Every single year I find out something new about this book, and I have read this 4 times. This year also I found out like there was a cute little reference in the beginning, and it was really good. Like I love this book, I love these characters. This, she is sunshine, he is grumpy one, and not the grumpy one, but like he is very introverted and she is very extroverted, so we see their dynamic. I mean, the way the characters are written is really good. Even the side characters have personality, and doing that in a graphic novel is very difficult because there are not that many like written lines, and we see them through dialogues. So it's very well written, well articulated, very well illustrated book. I love these illustrations. So I mean, this is my 6 star 7 star book. Like, I love this book a lot. Like, I can't even tell you, okay, like I just love it. No, it's like my favorite book. I will read this every single year because it just gives me that fall vibes and that perfect cozy vibe, and it feels like I'm in a pumpkin patch experiencing all these things. So that was my last read of the month. So yes, these were all the books I read in the past 2 months, and whatever books I still have on my TBR, like fall TBR, I'm gonna continue them in October, no, November. What is happening? And whatever books I still have on my fall TBR, I'm gonna continue in November because of course I want to read them, because otherwise वो next year तक चला जाएगा and I don't want to do that. So yes, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and comment, and thanks for watching. Bye.